Good morning, Mark Sutton with HurricaneTrack.com here with a look at Tropical Storm Sandy here in the morning of October 24th, 2012. Take a look at this expanding cloud field with it. Strong upper level outflow where the wind is fanning out in a clockwise fashion. Pretty good curved nature to the storm down here. Not quite a hurricane, but closing in on it. The difference between 70 and 75 miles per hour is negligible. Folks in Jamaica need to be ready for what's coming already, heavy rain and tropical storm conditions spreading there. But the bigger story is not going to be how intense this is down here as it will be how intense it gets up here, I do believe, and what kind of storm system it is and what the effects will be for the Outer Banks of North Carolina, the east coast of Florida, and then really the rest of the southeast as well, as this will churn up the Atlantic Ocean in a bad fashion and send some pretty big waves towards the coast. Surfers are going to love this, but you got to be careful. This is going to be a substantially different kind of weather pattern than you're used to with a very agitated Atlantic Ocean. Now take a look at the 5-day forecast track from the Hurricane Center. We see it coming up over Jamaica, eastern Cuba, into the Bahamas, and then it makes that turn. Now we have seen the forecast track get a little bit more north and west with time. It hasn't gone out towards Bermuda as much with each cycle that we're seeing from the Hurricane Center. So we're starting to see just a little bit more of an edging towards this idea that maybe, just maybe, it will be going more north towards the east coast of the U.S. after it gets out of the Caribbean. Looking at the wind swath, the tropical storm probabilities for tropical storm force winds, 10% in eastern North Carolina, 10% down along the Florida coast here. And this is with the center still well down in the Caribbean Sea. Keep that in mind. You say, oh, that's nothing. A 1 in 10 shot. No problem. Well, this is just going to increase. You see, this is what it shows now with Sandy still so far away. Wait till you see what happens over the next couple of days. And this is why I want to emphasize that, you know, a huge geographic region is going to be impacted by wind, coastal flooding problems, and even rain, heavy rain on the west side in some locations as Sandy's wind field and overall structure increases in size. Now let's take a look at the GFS. This is a neat map because it shows the 0Z run of the GFS track separated. You don't get the, you can actually see what the track is, and that's very nice. And you can see what it does pretty much right along the Hurricane Center's forecast. Isn't that amazing? Interesting. Comes right north and then takes a hook to the right out north of Bermuda, and then the GFS does show it hooking back towards Atlantic Canada, which is well off the map up here. Now let's compare this to the same time frame, the 0Z run of the Euro, last night's run of the Euro. This will be valid tonight. ECMWF model has it between Jamaica and eastern Cuba. I don't think that's in any question on the models. 48 hours out, it's got it in the Bahamas. Now this is really important what happens next. Whereas the GFS at this point starts to turn it east and out to sea, watch what the Euro does from day 2 to day 3. Look at that. It jogs to the northwest, closer to the coast of Florida. I mean, it's getting on in there about 78 degrees of longitude. And then it starts to come off to the northeast just a little bit. Finally a little bit more, almost due north, maybe just east of north, passing close to the North Carolina Outer Banks with maybe hurricane conditions. And then on day 6 here, well up into the northeast United States, close to making landfall as this incredible hybrid mix of a hurricane and what we call a baroclinically influenced storm that has energy input into it from the atmosphere as well as the ocean. So this big mix of stuff that really needs to be taken into consideration. That if this happens, we're looking at an unprecedented event for the hurricane season. Any season. This would be absolutely incredible. And one of the key ingredients, I do believe, easy to see here, this is the 26 degrees Celsius isotherm. That's the 79 degrees Fahrenheit line. In other words, the warm water of the tropics extends fairly far to the north. So as this comes out of the tropics and rides up the coast here, if it does that, there's only going to be a short amount of time where the water temperatures are not warm enough to keep this thing going. But by that time, I think the atmosphere is going to have more energy input into it, and it's going to be unstoppable. It's going to be an amazing event if this happens, and one that could be very dangerous. And people need to be paying attention to this closely, very closely, over the next several days. All right, so I'm on the road today later on some non-Sandy related business, but I will be posting another video blog, probably using my iPhone and just looking at the screen of my laptop. I won't have my office with me. I can't take the office on the road, even though I do have the Tahoe with all the gear in there. Nonetheless, I will provide another video blog later this afternoon, so be on the lookout for that. Again, I'm Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, my website. Always a privilege and a pleasure to do these videos for you. Hopefully they're useful for you, and I'll be back later today with another one.